Hi, I'm Julie. Thanks for joining me as I share my goals for 2026. Headed into retirement, hoping to retire, committed to retiring in June of 2027. And for me, retirement means not having to do the job I currently have, which I've loved for many years. I operate a little Montessori in-home childcare, but I'm ready to stop doing that. And to be able to stop doing that, we've been practicing living on just my husband's income. He's a public school teacher. And so I've been doing that a while. If you've seen my other videos, I've kept you abreast of how that's going. But now that the date has been set, I really want to every month not be spending my income. And we've done pretty good in October, November. Plan looks like we will in December too. But here's my new budget. It's a little different than previous budgets, as you'll notice if you've been with me looking at previous budgets. But this is the budget that's going to get us to the point where I can close my school, and then we'll see what I do next. But operating our household won't be dependent on my income after that point. So this is Julie's Rich Life, not my, well, it affects my husband's rich life, but it's not his channel, so I don't share his income. So I don't share our income total, but he's a public school teacher, 7th grade, so you can kind of imagine, what his income might be like. And then I have my income from the business. And then I have a little side hustle teaching adults to be Montessori toddler teachers. And that's a couple $100s a month with a couple thousand during the summer when I'm actually teaching in person, not virtual. I also don't share giving because for me that should be a little more private and not like be bragging, tell everybody how much you're giving. But I just do like to say that I'm giving because I think that's part of a healthy budget is giving to other people. And so that giving includes like gifts, but also includes giving to our church. It includes spontaneous giving. So if someone, friend or family is selling something to support a cause or just asking for donations, it's a cause we believe in, then we have money budgeted every month to do that. And if it doesn't organically get used up that budget, then we choose another charity to give that money to. But it also might be used like to help an adult child who's having a little bit of a crisis if that happens. So it's pretty flexible, that spontaneous giving portion of giving. All right, so I'll start sharing at the savings and investing here, and I'm using the Every Dollar software. I've tried different ones. This just works best for my brain. It's just very neat and clean and easy to use. So first is the emergency fund. So this is basically like an income replacement fund is how I think of it. So we have an amount in there all ready. It goes up and it goes down. I mean, eventually we hope it won't be going down anymore. Let's be adding to it from here on out. I also have the educational fund where I put money aside for my granddaughter's education, and that's an account where she can use it for private school K through 12 or for college. So we'll see. They're planning homeschooling at this point, but we'll see what happens. But that money will be there for her, and then this will go up in April when I have my second grandchild. All right, medical savings, we put $208 every month. There's a family member in our household that needs a pretty expensive medication, like every 3 months. So our co-payment is pretty expensive. So we put money aside for that. And then as money just accumulates there above that, that'll be there for like other co-payments or our share of a deductible, if we have surgery or something like that. So that's the same as last year too, as is the educational fund. Emergency fund will be something that varies every month, most likely, as will this house maintenance and repair. So those of you who have watched my channel before know one of our big savings goals to practice like enjoying our money instead of just saving it was to upgrade my husband's boat that he takes fishing. It's just a small boat. he wants one and is going to get one now with like a cover so he can go fishing, more comfortably when it's raining really hard, which it does often here. And then also take the grandchildren so they'll be out of the weather during bad weather. He thought that would be more attractive as they get older and can do that. But now we've saved the amount, his target amount, so we have this extra money. So we're starting, I was planning on like saving for the trip of a lifetime, but now as I'm thinking, well, retirement is really happening in a year or two, and my husband's talking about retiring maybe earlier from his job as a public school teacher, as a lot of public school teachers are thinking of doing now, retiring early. And I just want the house to kind of like be in good shape, and to feel like nothing really needs to be repaired after I retire. He retires. It's like a clean, nice slate. And to make it a little more homey and nice now that I'll be spending more time like in the house part, not in the school part. I just want to like refresh it a bit. But this big amount is because we're having the popcorn ceiling removed, and that's quite expensive. So like January, February, and part of March, we'll have these maybe. Well, anyway, the next few months we'll have this saving and payment towards having the popcorn ceiling removed. This goal is the same as last year, $200 a month for car emergencies and repairs. So that could be just anything we can't fit into the budget, like a larger, more expensive part we have to buy, or if we actually have to take our cars to mechanic. But as that builds, we haven't had to do any of that. And then we have, let's see, I think our cars, what is it? I forget what year our car. It's over 10 years old. It was used when we got it when a tree fell on our other car. So we haven't had any big maintenance things, but that count is there for that. And then, oil changes and things we work into our regular budget. So if anything happens to our car and we have to buy one, before we run it into the ground, or when we run it into the ground, we'll have this amount of cash sitting to replace a car. I mean, I'm hoping eventually we can get to be a one-car family once we're both retired. That would be nice to save on, insurance and things too. But anyway, that'll accumulate towards a down payment, or, hopefully just buying a car outright. We need to replace one. Get busy living, get busy dying account is for like vacations or more expensive concert or sports tickets or something like that. So the minimum is going to be $400. And this month I have that much because we've already planned and scheduled to rent a house on a lake just for a few nights for one of our vacations this summer. So that high amount is going to that. And like I said, we already paid for that, but we haven't bought it yet, but we've got the money for a boat there. And so this might be a new fund that after we do some of the house maintenance, like I have another goal to save towards, or it might just go other places, but I'm just leaving that there as zero. It kind of reminds me, hey, you accomplished that goal of saving for the boat. And maybe I haven't ruled out like going to Asia. I just want to fix up the house first. All right. And Asia will come soon too, I hope. All right. And then our public account, that's a brokerage account that we just buy individual stocks in. And so it's not designated for retirement, although certainly it could be used for retirement, but we just put a little bit every month, and then sometimes we'll throw some extra money in there too. And then I have a Roth IRA that I'll put $150 a month into. And then my son is legally disabled, and we put $300 a month into what's called his ABLE account. And that's an account that he can only use for basic living expenses, basically to keep him alive. And so that'll be there for him, once we die. All right, so that's it for savings and investing. And Then we have bills and being an adult. So I've gone back and forth what to call these two. I know some people would do fixed expenses, but for me, like hardly any expenses are really fixed. You can, play around and adjust them. So in my mind, it's really like for my current living situation, these are things I have to pay right now. And that makes it easy to look at the budget total and say, oh, so that's what we really at the minimum have to live like we're living right now. And my husband's salary can cover that pretty easily. And these other categories are much more optional in our current living situation. All right, so bills and being an adult, we have our property taxes here of $370, water, on average $200, electricity, that goes up and down, maybe more in January actually, we'll see. Mobile phone is the same. Garbage, so that's a little higher than it will be once the school closes. There's a lot of garbage generated by the school with the disposable diapers they wear to school, and then they wear cloth when they're here, and but other garbage too. It also pays for Ridwill, which is a recycling program that picks up my plastic bags that you can't recycle any other way. I don't mean like shopping bags, I mean like plastic covering of anything, like anything plastic, and then a bunch of other containers like clamshell containers that even though people do put in the regular recycling, or where I live, you're not really supposed to. A lot of things get put in recycling that aren't supposed to, but Ridwell picks those up, and so I pay for that, and that's part of garbage. Landline I'll be able to eliminate once I retire. I just have to have that because of the child care. It's just a licensing code. Internet, there's my HELOC minimum, and that's, my loan. And then auto and gas and parking. We don't have to pay for parking that much, just when we go downtown, but we put it there when we do. And then medical expenses are just for like regular medicines that don't have a huge copay. And we do have like the savings account, flexible spending account that we can pay for those with. So usually that card covers that. We don't have to use that there. All right, groceries and toiletries and cleaning supplies, I buy those all at the same place, so I don't break down which is which. Now this is high. I've said in other videos that I live in a state with the 4th highest grocery costs. And so that's one reason it's real high. I feed myself, my grown son, my husband always, and then my other grown son eats a little bit with us. His shifts are different than ours, but so he doesn't really necessarily eat a lot of our food anymore. But my daughter and son-in-law, they go through periods where they'll just be over at dinner time like 3 or 4 times a week, and then it'll be like a week they're never here at dinner time. But we do feed them and my granddaughter a little bit. And then auto and home insurance, $314. Life insurance, pretty high because I have a very large policy. I don't know when we'll stop it, but basically it exists because I want to provide as much as possible beyond savings. Basically, if I die first, for my disabled son and my husband to be able to take care of him easily. And then my husband has insurance through work, and he might be able, for a long time he couldn't get other insurance because he had cancer. It might be long enough now since he overcame cancer that he could get insurance now, but for now it just works for me to have the big policy. Car loan, we paid off our car, and I just like to leave that there to remind me that we paid off that loan sooner than we had to, which I like to do. All right, so that's the bills and being an adult that we kind of have to pay. And these are things that, I mean, I guess we don't have to survive it. It's kind of hard to imagine not doing it. Oh, look, I just noticed I have 31 cents more to budget, so I can change this to, whoops, 41. Okay, now it's an every dollar budget. So guilt-free spending, 400 for myself, 400 for my husband. That's where like our clothing comes out of, and anything that's just for us personally. It's like I get a massage or a facial once a month, that would come out of that for me. We joke that like all his fishing gear still has to come out of his personal spending, not the grocery budget yet, because he's not catching enough fish, although he does well, but let's catch a lot more to make that come out of the grocery budget. All right, and then flexible spending is just some like miscellaneous things. This base, my dad passed, so this is for my mom. That's sad. Okay, so my mom, like, I'll pick up stuff for her, and she always like insists on me paying me back, and sometimes she ends up doing that, sometimes not, but I just like to keep track of that separately, so that I know like what money isn't maintaining our household. And so I put that under living a content life. It could go, because she usually does pay me back and I'm just keeping track of things, but that's why it's there instead of under giving. And then other subscriptions, those are subscriptions that aren't just personally for one of us. So like I have a herb study subscription, and I put that under my, it says, oh, that's so funny. It says guilt fruit spending. All right. All right. So I'll rename that. So those are subscriptions that like benefit the whole family somehow. And then, so pet care is for my one dog's dog food, anything he needs, and his once a week daycare. And actually that medical savings account is for pets and people. I don't have pet insurance for him. Maybe when he gets older, I'll look into it more, but he basically just has his annual exams and shots. All right, YouTube. I need to double check this. This might actually be more. I might have to change that. You'll find out when I do the end of January budget recap. I think we're paying more for some sports thing because the men in my life like to watch a lot of football games. All right, eating out is $300, and we don't usually spend that amount, but it's there if we want to. I just like to keep a line for business expenses, so that if I'm shopping and I buy just something for the school and I don't want to like break it up into two purchases, I can just keep track. I need to pay myself that back from the business. And my son's, kind of got to change this, but his Spotify account gets charged to my card. And so I got the reminder for him to pay me back. And then anything else like I pick up for him when I'm out that he needs to pay me back, because we're trying to like really figure out his extra budget and helping him budget what he needs to live. All right, so that is it to have just a content life. And then my rich life, all I have under there like just feels like really extra, and I could totally live without this. At least when I'm young and able, when I retire, is like cleaning service. And that's just once a month. And basically I have that just to make sure the house gets really well cleaned once a month, and we maintain in between. Because I spend a lot of time cleaning the classroom, like, a good hour and a half a day. And so it's just a lot of cleaning. And we just kind of keep it clean. But it needs extra cleaning from time to time. So that's what that is for, but that's definitely in my book a luxury. So we wouldn't have that probably when I retire. We'll see. All right. And so that is my budget goal for January of 2026, helping me get in the habit of not spending any of my salary at all. All that money will go either into savings, investing, or extra payments towards the HELOC loan, or could do extra giving too, but just like not part of the operational budget. My income will not be part of the operational budget from here until June of 2027. So I hope you'll join me for my check-ins. I really like chatting with you and hearing your feedback. And so let me know if you're watching this just because you like financial videos in general, or if you too are planning to retire soon, or if you're already retired, and how do your budgets look compared to mine? I mean, I know our numbers are going to vary a lot based on our values and where we live and our income, but like the categories, like, do you have those categories? Do you not have those categories? Did they change a lot when you retired, or do you plan on changing them a lot when you retire? I would love to learn from you as well. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the comments. Take care.